Chioma, a proud pregnant woman, spat on an old woman and refused to apologize. The woman cursed her, saying she would carry her child but never give birth. Months and years passed, doctors and native doctors failed, and when Chioma finally sought forgiveness, the old woman was already dead. As a pregnant woman, you must watch this. Have you ever asked yourself if one small mistake can change someone's whole life? That was exactly what happened to Chioma, a young and beautiful woman who was pregnant with her first child. She was the kind of woman who loved to show off her joy. Every morning, she would smile at her husband, rub her big belly, and talk to the baby inside. Her neighbors admired her glowing face, and many of them said, "Chioma, you are blessed. You will soon carry your baby." Her heart was full of joy, and she thought nothing could ever spoil her happiness. One hot afternoon, Chioma was coming back from the market with a basket on her head. The sun was burning, and she was tired. She cleared her throat and spat on the ground, not looking properly at where the spit would land. Unfortunately, the spit fell close to an old woman's feet. The woman stopped, looked at her with surprise, and said in a low voice, "My daughter, you spat on me." Instead of saying sorry, Chioma frowned and replied with pride, "Can you not see that I am pregnant? Why are you standing in my way?" Her words cut deep, and her tone was sharp. The old woman's eyes turned red with anger. She shook her head slowly and said, "So because you are pregnant, you cannot respect your elders. Because of your pride, you will carry this child, but you will not give birth when your time comes." Chioma laughed as she walked away, thinking the woman was just angry and talking anyhow. She never believed that an old woman's words could have power. The old woman packed her saliva in a nylon and took it with her. Chioma, not knowing, went home. Nothing that day marked the beginning of her doom. The old woman took the silver at the native chalk red cloth and placed it on top her roof, saying as long as it remains up there she won't be able to deliver the child, that the baby will never come down to the earth. Weeks passed, and Chioma forgot everything that happened with the old woman. Her husband was busy preparing for the baby's arrival. He bought clothes, baby shoes, and even painted the small room blue and white. He told everyone proudly, "My wife will soon give me a child." The family was excited, and Chioma was treated like a queen. At 7 months, she threw a small celebration. Friends and family came, singing and dancing, praising her beauty and her big stomach. They gave her gifts and prayed for safe delivery. Chioma was so happy that she said to herself, that old woman's words were just ordinary anger. Nothing will happen to me. Each time she went to the hospital, the doctor said the same thing, "Everything is fine. The baby is strong. Your health is perfect." This gave her confidence, and she lived like someone who had no worries. Her face was always glowing, and she walked around the village with joy. But far away, the old woman who gave the curse was still alive. She sat in her small hut, shaking her head, saying to herself, "This girl did not respect me. She thinks my words are empty. She will soon know that the tongue of an elder is never weak." Finally, Chioma reached her 9th month. She packed her hospital bag and kept it beside her bed. Every day, she expected the labor pains to start, but nothing happened. 1 week passed, then 2 weeks, and her stomach was still heavy with no sign of delivery. Her husband grew worried and took her to the hospital. The doctors checked her carefully and said, "Your baby is alive and healthy, but we don't know why labor has not started." They gave her some medicines and told her to wait. Chioma was calm at first, but deep inside her, fear began to grow. Her mother and relatives prayed for her. Neighbors whispered, "Maybe her time is different. She will soon deliver." But when the 10th month came and still no labor, people began to gossip. Some said, "Chioma must have offended someone." Others said, "This is not ordinary." Chioma herself cried at night, holding her belly, asking the baby, "Why are you not coming out? Why are you punishing me like this?" Her joy turned into worry, and her proud words to the old woman began to play back in her mind. By the time the 10th month ended and the 11th month started, Chioma was no longer the happy woman everyone admired. Her face became dull, her eyes were swollen from tears, and she lost weight. The doctors continued to say the same thing: your baby is alive, but labor is not starting. No one could explain it. Her husband began to sell his belongings to pay for treatment. They visited bigger hospitals in the city, but no answer came. Chioma also started going to native doctors. Some gave her herbs to drink, some tied charms around her waist, and some promised she would deliver soon. But all of them failed. People in the village continued to gossip. Some said she used her baby for money rituals. Others said the gods are angry with her. Every time Chioma heard those words, her heart broke more. She felt ashamed and hopeless. She looked at her husband one night and said, "I am sorry for what is happening to us. If I knew my words could bring this, I would have begged that old woman. Now, I don't know what else to do." Her husband held her hand and cried silently with her. One day, a neighbor invited Chioma to a church program. At first, she refused, saying, "I am tired of trying. Nothing works for me." But her husband begged her, and they went. The church was filled with people singing and praying. When the pastor came close to Chioma, he stopped and stared at her stomach. He said in a loud voice, "Woman, this is not ordinary. This is a curse. Someone you disrespected has tied your womb with words." Chioma froze. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she remembered the old woman. The pastor prayed for her, anointed her with oil, and said, "Go and look for that person. Beg for forgiveness. That is the only way you will be free." Everyone in the church shouted, "Amen." But Chioma's heart was heavy with fear. After the service, she told her husband everything. He held her and said, "Then we must go and find the woman immediately." The next morning, they packed their bags and started their journey back to the village. The journey back to Chioma's village was long and tiring. She sat quietly in the car, holding her belly, praying silently. Her husband kept looking at her, worried that her strength was fading. But Chioma was determined to find the old woman. When they reached the village, they asked everyone about the old woman. Some said they had not seen her in months. Others said she was very sick. Finally, someone told them, "The old woman is in the next village. She is very weak and may not live long." Chioma's heart began to beat fast. She held her husband's hand and said, "We must hurry. If she dies before I reach her, I am finished." They borrowed a motorbike and rushed to the next village, dust rising behind them as they sped on. All the way, Chioma was praying, "God, please keep her alive. Give me just one chance to say sorry. I don't want to lose my baby because of my pride." When they finally arrived at the old woman's hut, they saw many people gathered outside, crying. Chioma's heart sank immediately. She rushed forward, asking, "What happened?" They told her, "The old woman died this morning." Chioma screamed and fell to the ground. She forced her way inside the hut and saw the woman's body lying on a mat. She fell beside her, shaking her lifeless hands, crying, "Mama, forgive me. Please, wake up and cancel your words." But the woman could no longer hear her voice. Her husband tried to lift her up, but Chioma clung to the body, wailing like a child. The villagers stood around, pitying her, but none of them could help. The curse was sealed forever because the one who spoke it was gone. Chioma's heart broke into pieces. She cried until her eyes were swollen, realizing that her pride had cost her everything. After the old woman's death, Chioma returned home with sorrow. Her pregnancy remained, but labor never came. The doctors still said the same thing: "Your baby is alive, but we cannot explain this." No medicine, no prayer, and no charm could change it. Her husband grew weaker every day. He tried to comfort her, but deep inside, he was broken too. His dream of becoming a father faded slowly. He sold all he had, but nothing worked. Chioma cried every night, wishing she could turn back time. If only I had said sorry. If only I had respected her, she whispered to herself again and again. But wishes could not change her reality. Her story spread across villages, and everyone who heard it shook their heads in pity. Some said, "This is what pride does." One sorry could have saved her. Others warned their children never to disrespect elders. Chioma's life became a living lesson. People used her story to teach their children. They said, no matter how rich, young, or strong you are, always respect others. Pride would destroy you. Pastors used her story in church, telling their members, a simple sorry can save you from years of suffering. Women told their daughters, never let pride enter your heart. Humility brings peace. Chioma herself no longer talked much. She spent her days sitting under a tree, rubbing her belly, crying quietly. She told anyone who asked, don't be like me. Respect people. Say sorry quickly. Sorry can save your life. Her words carried pain, but they also carried truth. Everyone who heard them understood that her suffering was a lesson from which others must learn. As years passed, Chioma's pregnancy remained. She never delivered, but the baby inside stayed alive. People called it a mystery, but she knew it was the curse. Her husband stayed with her until he too grew old from sorrow. Chioma accepted her fate. She no longer prayed for miracles. She simply told her story to anyone willing to listen. I lost everything because of pride. Don't let pride destroy you. Always respect others. Her story traveled far, reaching towns and villages she had never been to. Many people changed their ways because of her. Some began to say sorry more quickly, some began to treat elders with respect, all because they feared ending up like Chioma. And so, Chioma never carried her baby in her hands, but her story became a lesson that lived forever. A lesson that pride can destroy, but humility can save. The end of Chioma's story.